welcome to Topic Drop, where we drop a topic to get authentic answers on the spot. Today we have Janet, Michaela, Alexis, and myself, Katrina. Now let's drop that topic. Who should you trust? This is about the Bible and you personally. Who should you trust?
Who should you trust?
Yeah, the Bible actually does say you should trust certain people. And what is your recommendation? Who would you trust? Who wouldn't you trust? You know?
Oh, goodness.
That's a great question.
Oh, goodness.
You guys say topic drop. It drops it on the spot. So you guys.
I typically, and what I tell my children is that they need to look not at what people are saying and how they are acting, but all of the things that they do, and in particular, what they do when nobody's looking type thing. So if somebody is kind, even in all of these situations, like if they come across them and they're just being kind, or they come across them in the city center or something, or if they go out of their way to do nice things for people, and then they're not like throwing it around like, oh, I donated this money, oh, I did that, then that's typically a good person. But the more so that the person tries to be showy about the good things that they do, don't trust them. I tend to also distrust people who are very churchy, because a lot of the churches nowadays are not they're not there to do good things. They're there to say, hey, look at me do good things. So I also kind of tend to tell them avoid all that and just look and see if you can find out who they are and who they are when they're not looking type thing. That's my opinion on it.
You want to go next?
I agree with Michaela. Plus, I could be wrong on this, but I do believe the Bible does say trust no man.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because we're filled with sin and shaped in iniquity. So we should only trust our Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's it.
Yeah. And at the end, I will actually post the Bible verse that says that. But yeah, it does say that. I personally tell my children to trust no one. I tell them to not even trust me if I start acting crazy or something.
Well, that's sad. If you live life with no trust, then you miss the close relationships. Like, I trust you.
If I didn't trust you, know, but
yeah, I mean, if you know the person, yes. If you know the person, but
but nowadays you have to know people for quite a while, because you get those psychopaths and they can hide it.
I agree.
I tend not to trust people until they prove their trust. And most people say it should be the opposite. You know, you should trust everybody until they prove you wrong. No. I think, you know, while I was listening to Michaela and what she teaches her children, I thought back to when I was a child. And when you're a child, sometimes you will make friends with whoever's going to make friends with you. And so that puts you already in a compromised state, because it can. Because if you're not, I was a very shy child and wasn't very outgoing. So people wouldn't tend to gravitate towards me. So I would have the friends that I had. And frankly, every friend I had growing up really backstabbed me. They stole from me. They like everything that you could think of. And so
the Bible does say, choose your friends wisely. They can bring you up or they can bring you down.
What? I mean,
but
because you said like you don't trust people until they prove it. But I mean, I think that's normal. It's not that you're you shouldn't automatically distrust a new person when you meet them. It's more like neutral. There's not only distrust and trust, there's neutral when you don't really have one way or the other. And so instead of Like if Katrina says something, I know I trust her, I can believe it immediately. If there's somebody who I really distrust and I know that they lie a lot, then they'll say something and I'll just throw it out immediately. But if you don't know the person, there's not really, you shouldn't really trust or distrust either way. It can be neutral and be like, okay, I'm going to take that as truth for what they say, but I'm not going to trust it blindly because I don't trust them yet. So it's not really like a just trust or distrust thing. It's still this neutral level where you take it at face value, giving them the benefit of the doubt because you don't know them, but then you still wait for secondary things like, okay, they said this, oh, and now it has happened what they said. They have a little bit more trust. So I will take it more at face value the next time. You kind of build one way or the other.
Okay. I do like that. I tend to look at things, one way or the other. But I like that. I like what you said there.
Yeah. I mean, modern psychology today actually thinks it's unhealthy if you don't trust people. I mean, just if we talk about the worldviews as well, like it creates a sense of insecurity in your life, which can cause stressors and things because they believe that we are built to trust. So we naturally are inclined to trust. So not having that would cause like issues psychologically.
I think it all depends on the areas you grow up in too. Like,
well, that's true too.
Where I grew up, there were some crazy folks that did crazy things, and so you tended to want to keep to yourself because they were trouble. That's all I want to say about that. Because
well, I mean, I guess I can understand that point of view, but I mean, at the same time, like. Well, no, I mean, I guess I do understand. Like, if you grow up in a bad area and there's more predominantly people where you can't trust them or whatever, that can kind of make you sour. But I feel like that's why you have to have, like, you have to be cognizant of that. And then, because I think it's really important, I think, this is kind of getting off topic, I guess, but I think a huge issue in our society is we're losing the sense of community because everybody's becoming so separate and stuck in their own business because there's so much distrust. And, we're hearing about all the awful things that happen, and it's the 24-hour news cycle, and you're just hearing it constantly, all these terrible things going on. So you're no longer, we lose that neutral level of trust, and you just keep automatically distrusting and distrusting and distrusting more. But I think that's a negative, and it ultimately, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're not willing to put yourself out there and have at least a little bit of trust, how are you expecting to be able to build it with more people and to be able to build this community and that we live and everything like that? So
that's an interesting point of view. So your view is that distrusting people could make people behave differently. I guess I'm an odd person then because I can completely distrust somebody and be like the friendliest person ever.
I think everybody can.
Do you think distrusting people can make them behave differently? If so, comment below.
I mean,
it's human nature. I think Michaela has a very valid point.
Yeah.
It's like
it's not something that's necessarily natural, but it's important if we want to build the world to be a certain way that we have to be cognizant of these things and thinking about these things. It's really important to not always just go. I mean, we're not animals anymore. We don't just run off of our base instincts all of the time. Like, we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. And in part of that, if we want to have a better community and a better society, I've seen it a lot when I moved here. I moved countries, it's just changing your mindset and being able to build towards a community that we want to live in type thing. So you have to kind of consciously think about, I need to be more neutral rather than automatic distrust, because it's a lot harder to get over that hump from distrust to neutrality than it is neutrality to trust. So if you're trying to make two jumps, it's really hard to get there. And then you can really feel kind of secluded and sequestered off.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good to have a person show you who they are. Don't take what they say. Have them show you what, because by giving a display of showmanship, then you kind of, But and like I said, some people can even be shady even with that. They may act nice for a minute and then stab you in the back. So you really have to you really have to have your spiritual spider senses on, so to speak, to be able to study people to see what's really going on. Because if not, yeah, the world is the world, and it's not always a nice place. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of sad to think that we live in a world where you can't trust everybody.
But I don't think we ever lived in a world where you can trust everybody. I think
Yeah.
like that world never existed. It's the idea that people are like, oh, back in the old, but it's there was never a world where you could trust everybody. It was
Yeah.
just we heard a
It,
lot less about the bad things that happened.
I
We were
guess
young,
so,
so
but
we had
I
less
don't know.
experiences, less negative experiences. And so I think there was more openness to be trusting
The
versus the older
world,
you get.
yeah, the world was a bit different place when I was growing up. I mean, nobody would lock their doors. Nobody would think about that. And then all the neighbors, they would come together every night. We'd be outside. I mean,
Again, because
television
there was,
was new,
but
but
that's the
most people
base
didn't
level of
have it.
trust.
Girl,
It
you
wasn't
can't leave your
necessarily because
door
less
unlocked
bad things
nowadays.
happen,
People
and
will
I mean
walk
I know,
in.
right?
they
We've
lost
gone
their
from
friends.
we've gone from the city of Mayberry to the Hunger Games, like in 2025. It's messed up out here, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, but a lot of it, yeah, it is like there is a lot of messed up stuff that happens, and there's horrible things that happen. But in the grand scheme of things, I mean, if you look at crime trends and all of these things, we're going down. The big difference is it's thrown in our face constantly. When you were growing up, Mom, I mean, you didn't have cell phones with the news and ads and everything thrown in your face 24/7. You didn't have all of these things, and especially the things that we see on the news because I mean, at the end of the day, they're a business. They're trying to reel you in. And they've done studies. They show you, oh God, I don't want to quote numbers because I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was like extremely disproportionate, like 20 or 30 times more often that they talk about these tiny little things that happen, these violent things. But then, and so it feels blown out of proportion because you're hearing about it all the time. You're seeing it all the time. And that has kind of led to this distrust. But more people got kidnapped back in the time when people didn't lock their doors, like unsolved murders and unsolved kidnappings and like theft and stuff like that. This stuff all happened far more often back then, but you weren't going to hear about it immediately unless it happened on your street because you didn't have a cell phone and the TV and the internet and everything, throw it in your face 24/7. We can find out in a second now, as soon as something happens, before even the news articles come out, we can hear about it on social media. We didn't have that back then. So you were kind of in this bubble of, oh, the only bad things I'm going to hear about are going to happen on my street. And because I don't hear about them happening very often, this is how the street is.
Yeah.
Or this is how the world is because it's here. So I, as we hear more about this and we've just got it thrown at us all the time, it makes us lose trust in people before they even have the chance. We haven't had any evidence about whether or not this random person can be trustworthy, but they're already starting at a deficit because, oh, I don't know you. Oh, I hear about all these bad things happening all the time. I'm going to err on the side of caution here. And instead of giving you this neutrality, I'm going to automatically distrust you. And it's a lot harder to work yourself back out of that once you already distrust somebody. I mean, think about it's somebody who you have honestly, truly distrusted. Have you ever came to trust them before? How difficult was it to move out of that? Because once you distrust somebody, you kind of don't trust them.
Yeah, I used to separate people's trust levels into categories of like what you could trust them with.
Mm-hmm.
So we are actually running on 10 minutes left, ladies.
Oh snap!
That
Well, shoot, I'm not gonna let Michaela take the show. Shoot, but
yeah,
hey, okay. In a nutshell, I think I honestly I agree with what Michaela says. Now, granted, in the country, when you live in the country, you're less likely, the crazies are everywhere. But I think that you're less likely sometimes to encounter them deep in the heart of the country where you're in nature, at least back in the day, you could trust your neighbors back then because it was like a little house on the prairie type of thing. You could trust your neighbor Sue Ann down the road or Billy Bob or whatever. But now, I mean, and they went from Little House on the Prairie to the land of Mayberry, and now the crazier that the world gets, now it's like, shoot, even the city was bad, but it wasn't. There was still morals, but now it's like the morals
Yeah.
of the land are declining so
I think,
horribly
yeah.
that you can't even. You go in the country, you got crazy folk going in the country now. It's like you can't. It's hard. It's very very hard to.
I think,
Ooh,
yeah, what you're saying, I
yeah,
think what's happened, because you're the same age as me, which I don't think Michaela's got to see because
yeah,
she's younger, because we got the full spectrum of ages here. Um,
yeah.
is at my age, there was more people in the community keeping people in line. Like
Yes,
you couldn't just
yes.
do what you wanted to do. I
Right. There was
remember, and I,
accountability.
yes, and like people would say something.
Oh
Your
yeah.
your dad, your grandpa, they would say something. They saw a man out of line.
Was responsible people, but nowadays
Also,
it's not like that. It's
man,
not like that anymore.
girl, I remember one time I was at church, and I know this is at church, and it doesn't have to do with society, but I was at church. I was sitting next with Susan, okay, at
Mm.
Ephesus, okay, and
Oh, okay.
Susan started nodding off, okay, in Ephesus, in Ephesus.
In how is she not off there?
Oh no, this woman behind her smacked her in the head. She, you won't disrespect Jesus. She, girl, sit straight up.
No, stop it, because I can imagine this happening. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, you couldn't act crazy when you're in my in my area. You had lots of people around, not only in church but all over the place.
Well,
Like,
I
Mhm.
feel like I feel like that almost has to do with this kind of general loss of trust or lack of want to even trust people, because
that's an interesting
like
theory.
with that there's a sense of community where you can do that to somebody, and like as an adult you can be like, hey, no, that's not something nice to do it to another kid or something like that, and you can trust the general community that that's going to be taken well because everybody wants the community to move forward.
Hmm.
I moved over here to Sweden, and you taking my kids to the parks in the States. That's not something that I really would have felt able to do. I wouldn't have parented another person's child no matter what they were doing, because I wouldn't have necessarily trusted the type of person there. But it was different because I moved here and I started taking them to the parks, and parents don't think anything of it. Even if they don't know you, even if they don't know your kid, they've got no problem stepping in, and it's not in a crazy way or anything. And I've
Yeah,
never seen anybody take it in a negative way, because we're
yeah,
all working towards building
community.
this community that we want to keep and grow and cherish and have this sense of community and the kindness that we want to live in and stuff like that.
Yeah, we need to
Um,
bring that back. We don't have that anymore. We need to bring that back. Like in the good old days when your sister and I were growing up, we knew we could not act a fool because there would be somebody to put us in line. The teacher, some elder that was there to put us in our place, and we knew that if we opened up our mouth, somebody was gonna find our moms, our dads, auntie, somebody, and get us extra straight. So
yeah,
yeah, that's the era we came from, and I wish that we continued that because it would really help our this generation that we have now because they're lost. I mean, people younger than you, they're lost. They
I mean
don't
the
have
last
anybody to really correct
yeah,
them.
it's not a huge thing. Katrina tells me stories about how all the family and everybody that she had and everything like that. I mean, what, I
Mhm.
was 8, 9 when grandma died, and that's it. That was
Yeah,
it.
Oh,
it's
Like,
sad.
and
wow.
and
Yeah,
so there's loss
Yeah. It's
of
really hard when
community.
your village starts dying off. Your neighbors, you had older neighbors, and
well,
they
maybe
would
that could
teach
be
you about
another topic.
community. Yeah,
But I mean,
they
Yes.
the village is
um,
always going to die off, like we're the life cycle,
right.
the human life cycle. That's why you have to be willing to trust new people to bring them in to grow
Yeah,
True
it's
village.
pretty funny because I put my name up here as Grace instead of my name because I wanted my words to be full of grace, but it has been a judgment. It has been a judgment. I'm not going to trust you until you've earned it.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to trust people until they earn it, but you shouldn't distrust them unless they've earned that either. It's a double-edged sword. You should
Yeah,
walk
I
the
can
plank
see
so
that.
you know what way you're gonna go. It's not fair to people if you're gonna automatically kick them off the distrust side and everything. You know, when I moved here, I had nobody. I moved to a totally new country. I knew nobody. I had no friends. I had no family. It was me and my kids and my partner, and we're here. There was nothing, and I wasn't going to have a village unless I built it. And now we have, close, good friends,
Yeah,
and
you do have really great people.
like, yeah, they're great friends. I mean, my son has their number, and he texts them all the time. I don't even realize.
Oh
And
no.
they're like, "Did you see
Bothering
what
you.
Henry sent me?" And I'm like, "He texted you. What did he text you?" But like that was if I would have just automatically distrusted people, I wouldn't have been able to have this opportunity to grow this little village of mine now. So you have to, and I didn't
Great point.
automatically immediately trust them, but I gave them the opportunity to prove themselves. And as time went on, the trust built, the trust built, the trust built. But we wouldn't be to that point now, even after years, had I already started them in the distrust pile, because it never would have kind of made it back over that
Hmm.
hump, I think. And I feel like that's a big thing. People's families started dying off, the villages started dying off. You lost your community, but at the same time, nobody was willing to bring in new blood to the community due to this distrust, and it's kind of just shot everything down. Because I think it's very important, just humans in general. I mean, we thrive on community, and we thrive on feeling a part of something. And without that, it's real easy to just start acting crazy and not care about anybody but yourself. Oh, why do I need to care about anybody but myself? Because I've only ever had me. They didn't have this whole community, this whole village that they helped me with this, I helped them with that. And with kids, if they don't grow up seeing that, you can tell a kid something 1,000 times, they're never going to listen until they experience it. So
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
point. Good point.
when you deal with crazy for so many years, I'm the oldest one in the group here, but you deal with craziness, you just get tired after a while. You're just like, you want
True
friends?
that, Mom. For
You're
real. For
like,
real.
I can
is
feel that,
friends
but
really
I'm
worth
going to say this because I know that it's not my cup of tea, but I know you're Christian and everything. Don't you think Jesus got real tired of everything he faced and everybody backstabbing him and everything, but
Yeah.
he still went on, and he still
Good point. Good
his way
point.
to have his mindset like, this is not how I want to be. Don't let people who you don't let bad people change who you are as a person. We shouldn't let our experiences tarnish our view of the world, because then everything's just going to be darker and smaller and worse off. So that's what you got to be conscious
It's
about
right
it.
there.
Oh no, we're out of
Oh,
time.
oh,
Okay, if you got
Is the answer.